This presentation is on auto scrubbers. What we're going to discuss here is the brief overview of the auto scrubbers, the types of auto scrubbers, your basic components, some troubleshooting, safety, and daily maintenance. Here are a few types of auto scrubbers that we're going to be talking about. You have the first one, an electric corded auto scrubber. Then we have the battery-powered walk-behind auto scrubbers. And then we also have the battery-powered ride-on auto scrubbers. Basic components, there are two. I like to go over kind of four of them. Mainly, here's your solution system, which of course allows you to put down solution and clean your floors there. And your recovery system, which of course picks up the dirty water and after it runs through and gets clean. Now there's two more that I'd like to go over. Of course you have your brush system and you have your drive system. So those are basically the four main components of an auto scrubber. Here's some troubleshooting. Of course, no forward and reverse. Check the light for some general way to know the machine has power. Then push the paddle forward. Full power should read 24 volts. Backward should read about 17 volts. Check the power to the drive motor, like I just mentioned, with a voltmeter by disconnecting your wires at the motor located in the back of the unit. Sometimes they're underneath the unit. By the squeegees, red to red and black to white. If the brushes turn on, then replace the drive motor. If the brushes do not turn on, then replace the Curtis speed control or your control board. If low voltage, then adjust the speed on your potentiometer. If 24 volts, then check the potentiometer in the drive paddle. Replace if need be. If the unit still has no forward or reverse, test for power using a voltmeter on the Curtis control board and replace the board if there's low voltage to your control board. We've got no neutral. This is still working on the drive system. Remove the front paddle to check the Anderson connections. Have a tight crimp. Make sure the wire's not damaged or anything like that. If the connections have a tight crimp, then adjust the potentiometer. If the potentiometer was recently replaced and the machine cannot find a neutral position, then the tech may have to install the incorrect potentiometer. Replace with the correct potentiometer. Check the springs in the paddle for their strength. If they're weak, replace. Slow forward and reverse troubleshooting. Adjust the speed knob. If this does not fix the issue, then install a new paddle. If the machine runs intermittently, check the wire harness for opened or pinched wires. Replace the handle harness if damaged. Check wire connections for a tight crimp again. If damaged, then replace them. We're going to do some troubleshooting for the poor or no pickup, which is in your recovery system. Of course, first thing, check the tank. Make sure the tank is empty. You can check the gasket and recovery lid. If the lid is damaged, then of course replace it. It's got to have a tight seal. If the lid gasket is damaged, then you need to replace the gasket. Check the ball float. Shake, tap to loosen the float. Sometimes those balls can get stuck inside the float or inside the float cage. If there's debris, of course, around the float, then remove it. If the float is stuck or damaged, then replace the float or the cage, or the cage. Check your drain hose plug, see if it's damaged. If it is, then replace it. If the hose is cracked or damaged, then replace, because of course, any extra air coming in there will disrupt the airflow that actually picks up the dirty water. Continue on for poor or no pickup. Check for clogs in the vacuum hose. Remove the squeegee hose and place your hand over the opening to check for suction. If there's low suction, then remove the hose completely and remove a clog if you have a clog. Of course, if the hose is cracked or damaged, then replace it due to the fact that it will restrict the airflow. Remove the squeegee blades, flip them over if necessary, or remove any debris that might collect down there on your squeegee assembly. Check the squeegee blades for wear. If the blades are worn or damaged, replace them or you can rotate them. Check the vac motor. It has carbon brushes on the vac motor, so if they're worn, then they need to be replaced. If there's no power to the motor, you replace the motor. Now we're going on to some no solution. Of course, check the tank is the first thing right there. If the tank is empty, fill your solution tank. Testing for the solution flow. If there is no solution flow, there may be a clog in the tank or in the lines. Check your lines, check your solution system itself, and make sure there's no clogs. Pull the hose from the valve and check for flowing water into the valve. Pull the hose from the either side of the valve. Turn the valve to an open position and check for water flow through the valve. Sometimes there's debris that gets caught inside. Pull the hose from the filter to check to see if there's water flow through the filter. Pull the hose from the solenoid valve to check for flowing water through the solenoid. If the solenoid valve will not open, you need to check it with a voltmeter. Place the voltmeter on the two wires to the solenoid, then turn on the solution switch. That'll tell you if you've got power to the solenoid. If the solenoid is not opening and you have power to the solenoid, then of course replace it. If you get voltage but no water flow past the solenoid, then replace the valve. If you get no power to the solenoid, then call a tech to check the control board, because you might have a control board issue seeing how there's no power getting down to that component. Poor run time, or it's not holding a charge. First is, how long does it run? If the unit is within 60% of full runtime, then it's okay. If the unit is less than 60% of the expected runtime, then the batteries and or charger needs checked. Then we've got a runtime chart. Of course, you got your battery size, large 12 volt, small 6 volt, medium 6 volt, and large 6 volt. Your amp hours are right next to it. 12 volt, large 12 volts, 195. Then next to that, of course, is the scrubbing, the hours at a 50 amp draw, which is normal for most scrubbers. They draw about 50 to 75 amps. You should get at least, about 2.68 hours out of the large, the 195s. Your small 6 volts at 225 amp hours with a 50 amp draw, you should get at least 3 hours, maybe at 3.5 hours. Medium 6 volt at 305 amp hours, you should get about 4 hours, 4.75 hours. Large 6 volts at 390 amp hours, you should get at least, a good 6.5 hour runtime out of that. Some more poor runtime or not holding a charge troubleshooting. How long has the unit had a decreased runtime? How long have you noticed the issue? If it has been days since the runtime has decreased, then check the charger. Make sure you're getting a charge. Check that the machine is charging for the entire charging cycle. Check the fuses in the charger. If it's bad, then replace the fuse. Check the connections and or the plug. If damaged, then replace. You've got your Anderson plug. Check if the charger is okay, then call 1-800-USA-CLEAN for a technician. We've got technical support. If it has been months since the runtime has decreased, then check the batteries. If the batteries are over 6 months old, replace them. If the batteries are under 6 months old, then call a tech for technical assistance. Now we're going to go over some safety of auto scrubbers. Always turn the key switch off before performing any service. Disconnect the batteries before any service, of course, to the machine. Make sure there's no, especially if you're working with wires and you just don't want any power coming to that particular part of the machine that you're working on. Keep sparks, flames, and any smoking material away from the batteries. Always keep your face, fingers, and any other body part or loose clothing away from the opening or moving part. Never operate a scrubber with the side skirt removed. Always keep the side skirt on. Never operate the machine when the battery charger is plugged in. Most scrubbers have an automatic kill switch that won't allow you to operate while the charger is charging. Never lay anything on top of your batteries, as arcing may occur, of course post to post. Always turn the machine off when attaching the pads or the brushes. Charge batteries every day in a well-ventilated area. Some scrubbers actually have an opening where you can open the compartment and let the batteries vent. Check and fill the batteries with distilled water. Check and clean and adjust the squeegee. Make sure all connections are very tight to prevent arcing, i.e. the batteries here. Make sure the nuts and all battery cables are tightly secured. Always check and clean your brushes or your pads. Drain and clean the tanks. Clean the solution filters as they can get clogged. Check the entire machine and wipe with a damp cloth. Now here we go to the summary. There are electric scrubbers, battery-powered walk-behind scrubbers, and battery-powered ride-on auto scrubbers, just in different sizes. Your basic components, of course, are include the solution tank and the recovery systems, and I always like to add the two more, which is your drive system and your brush system. Troubleshooting that we did can identify and help you resolve most drive, poor no pickup, no solution flow, and no runtime or charging issues. General safety rules, of course, for all auto scrubbers should be practiced when operating your equipment. And your daily maintenance is an easy way to make your auto scrubber work correctly and last longer, of course. I'd like to thank you guys for attending our webinar. If you guys have any questions, feel free to visit us on the web at usaclean.com. You can always give us a call, of course, at 1-800-USA-CLEAN if you have any troubleshooting issues, you need parts, anything like that, so feel free to give us a call. I appreciate you guys attending, and I hope you guys have a great day.